There are moments when the ego believes life is standing still, and yet underneath, the unconscious is already in motion. It moves in silence, in symbols, in longing, and sometimes just before the structure of our life shifts in some irreversible way, we feel a strange presence behind the curtain of our ordinary days. You are not imagining it. When a person of great psychic significance is about to enter your life, you feel it before you see it. Your soul prepares in advance, not with plans or logic, but through disorientation, dreams, restlessness, and a strange inner ripening that feels both like decay and birth at once. I have encountered this pattern countless times, both in myself and in those I've guided. Before a catalytic relationship appears, one that transforms, challenges, or awakens you, there are signs, not external signs, but inner ones. Symbols that emerge from the deeper layers of the psyche, whispering of what is coming before the world itself reveals it. Here are the four most consistent patterns I have observed. They are not predictions, but recognitions. If you see them not with your eyes, but with your intuition, you may realize the encounter has already begun. 1. The life you've built begins to quietly fall apart, and strangely, you don't panic. The first sign is a collapse that does not feel like destruction, but like release. You begin to feel that your friendships no longer nourish you. The routines that once made you feel secure now feel suffocating. The goals you chased no longer stir your blood. You look at the structure of your life, the schedule, the people, the distractions, and feel a quiet disillusionment. Not dramatic, just hollow. In truth, the self, the larger intelligence of your being, has already begun dismantling the false scaffolding around your identity. Why? Because the person who is coming cannot meet you in the mask. They can only meet the part of you that is real. And so the mask begins to itch. I've seen patients lose jobs, drift from lifelong companions, or develop sudden apathy toward the things they once craved. This is not failure, it is preparation. The psyche is creating space. You cannot carry the old narrative into the new relationship, so it begins to fall away. And here is the strangest part. Even amidst the uncertainty, you feel calm, an unexplainable calm, as if some deeper part of you already knows something else is coming, something truer, and you are being hollowed out to receive it. 2. The unconscious becomes louder, especially in dreams and symbols. If you want to know what your soul is preparing for, listen to your dreams. The second sign is the intensification of symbolic life. Strange dreams, vivid images, archetypes rising like waves from the deep. You might see recurring animals, ancient figures, unfamiliar landscapes, or old lovers returning in distorted forms. These are not random, they are omens. When someone psychically important is approaching, your unconscious will sense them long before your conscious mind ever recognizes them. You may dream of a house with new rooms you've never explored, of standing at a crossroads, of missing a train or catching one at the last second. These are not mere stories, they are reflections of what is unfolding beneath the surface. Even in waking life, Synchronicity will begin to surround you. Repeating numbers, a book you accidentally pick up that speaks directly to your inner conflict, a name you keep hearing, a phrase someone whispers that pierces your heart. The world becomes a mirror, time bends, coincidence becomes choreography. This is not fantasy, it is the prelude to encounter. The person you are about to meet is already in the room, not physically but symbolically. They are being sculpted in your psyche so that when the real arrives, your soul will recognize what your eyes do not yet understand. 3. Old wounds begin to reopen, not to punish you, but to prepare you. There is a strange cruelty in the way the psyche heals. It returns us to the wound just before it frees us from it. The third sign is emotional regression. You begin to feel fragile in ways you thought were behind you. Memories resurface, patterns reappear. You overreact to small things. You withdraw, or worse, you spiral. Shame returns like an old guest you forgot to lock out. You ask yourself, why am I feeling like this again? Haven't I already done the work? But this is the work. The person who is coming will not complete you, but they will expose everything in you that resists completion. They will touch the very places you hide, not because they are cruel, but because the soul demands integration. And love, true love, does not soothe the mask. It awakens the buried. Before this person arrives, your unconscious begins clearing space. It wants to ensure that you are capable of receiving what they will reveal. And so the unresolved rises, not to shame you, but to prepare you. It is as if the soul whispers, you cannot meet them in the wound, you must meet them in the truth. And to do so, the wound must come forward to be seen, not by them, but by you. You may find yourself remembering childhood moments, failed past loves, betrayals you swore you were over. But this is not regression, this is remembrance. Only what is remembered can be healed, and only what is healed can be shared with another without distortion. So when the ghosts return, welcome them. They are the final guardians of the gate you are about to walk through. 4. A stillness descends, the kind that only arrives before something sacred. Finally, when all the noise has fallen away, when the wounds have spoken, when the symbols have burned themselves into your nights, there is silence. You stop trying to chase, to fix, to prove. You find yourself craving solitude, not as escape, but as sanctuary. The world outside continues its endless chatter, but something in you retreats, not in fear, in reverence. I have come to recognize this silence in many forms. It might look like suddenly waking up before dawn, sitting with your coffee in a still room and feeling that the air itself is watching. It might feel like standing in a crowd and sensing you are being gently pulled inward as if something inside is taking your hand. This stillness is not apathy, it is awareness. You begin to see with different eyes. You notice the stranger's glance, the shape of a cloud, the way your breath moves when you are not thinking. You become attentive, and in that attentiveness there is a sacred expectancy. You do not know who they are or when they will appear, but you know something is coming, and that knowing is not wishful, it is cellular. It lives in your chest, in your belly, in your skin. You begin to walk differently, you speak with more care, you stop trying to explain your transformation to others because you realize it is not for them, it is for what is coming. The stillness is the soul's way of clearing a space for something holy. The one who is coming may not stay forever, but they are coming to leave something behind, a mirror, a lesson, a spark, a death, a resurrection, and you in your silence are ready. And then one day, without warning, you meet them. Perhaps it is a stranger at a gathering you didn't want to attend. Perhaps it is someone you've known for years who suddenly looks different. Or perhaps it is someone who appears in your life like a thunderclap, impossible to ignore, difficult to explain. You will not recognize them by logic. You will recognize them by the way your body responds. Your breath will shift, time will bend, the moment will feel impossibly ordinary and impossibly charged, like standing in a doorway that leads both forward and backward at once. It is not always a love story. Sometimes it is a storm, sometimes a teacher, sometimes a mirror so sharp it cuts. But whatever form they take, you will not walk away untouched. These are not soulmates in the romanticized sense. These are soul activators, instruments of the unconscious. They arrive not to complete you, but to shatter the illusion that you were ever incomplete. You may not stay together. In fact, many of these figures are transient. But what they leave behind in your psyche will echo for years, lifetimes even. A thought they spoke will return when you're alone. A look they gave you will haunt your growth. A silence they held for you will become the room where you finally met yourself. I have seen this over and over in the lives of patients, in the symbols of myths, and in my own journey. There is a pattern, a rhythm, an unfolding, and these meetings are not written by chance. They are conjured by the self at the precise moment you are ready and not a moment sooner. Do not chase them. You cannot summon such a person by willpower or desperation. You summon them by becoming, by listening to the discontent, by following the dreams, by honoring the unraveling, by entering the silence. And when you are no longer obsessed with arrival, that is when they appear, often just after you've let go. Just after you've accepted your own solitude, just after you've finally stopped seeking the external to validate the internal, they appear. And they do not always come with light. Sometimes they come with fire. They challenge your truths. They interrupt your narratives. They call forth the parts of you that you've buried beneath performance and fear. And if you are brave enough, you allow it. You allow the breaking. You allow the remembering. You allow yourself to become someone else, someone more yourself than ever before. This is the quiet apocalypse the soul prepares for. And when it happens, you will understand why it had to be them, why it could not have been anyone else, and why every step of pain, confusion, and awakening led to this threshold, not to lose yourself in another, but to meet the self more fully than ever before, through their eyes, through their presence, through the holy disruption they bring. So if the signs are whispering, listen, they do not lie. The person who changes everything does not come when you are ready for comfort. They come when you are ready for truth, and your soul, if it has been restless lately, may already know that moment is near.